Joining us this morning. I want to tell you a little bit about what Life Secure program is, and this is our mascot, Zelly. She is a representative of our product, which is unique and different. She's a zebra-striped elephant, and in 2016, she's going to celebrate her 10th birthday, which celebrates our 10th anniversary of being in the long-term care arena. So this is my information. I will also have this at the end of the presentation, so that if you have any questions when the presentation is over, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call if you have any questions about a group that you might be looking at or have questions about, or you have questions on how to get started with a group, or questions how to get started with Life Secure. You can either talk to Dave or myself, and we can get you signed up, or if you're already signed up and you want to get your group started, please feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we can get you going and get your group rolling along and give you the information that you might need to get that going. So I welcome, and again, here's my information. We were founded in 2006. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. We are backed by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan. We have become the fastest growing company in the long-term care industry this year. That's been published by LIMRA, and we are currently in 47 states. We're licensed in Vermont, but we do not have a product in Vermont at this time. We are looking to go into New York, which I know is a state that New York is an issue because we have to have a company actually in New York, and so it's a state that we're looking at possibly 2018, maybe as late as 2019, just because it's a more difficult state to get into. We are not in Massachusetts also. Here's our product availability state. It shows that California is in the green because it is still our 1.0 product. With our multi-life division, we have multi-life rules. All of the states fall under the multi-life rules. Even California, just the product itself is different. It is under our 1.0 rate. All the other states that you see in purple are under our 2.0 product, and all the states with the orange stars have the national partnership. We do not have partnership in California. Hawaii and Florida just became 2.0 back in May of this year. So as you can see up in the blue and up in the sort of magenta colors, those are the states that we are not in currently. So now we're going to talk about the solutions for worksite. We have two types of products. We have the Defined Advantage Plan, and we have what's called Employee Solutions. Long-term care now is no longer just considered an ancillary product. It's a benefit to help employees protect their savings in their retirement. It helps their employees and their families with caregiving. It helps attract new talent and retain key employees. And it also sometimes can be a tax advantage for the employer and the policy holder. It also helps keep your employees at work if they've got a long-term care policy or their parents have long-term care policies, so that they're not having to take off time from work to go be caregivers at home. And this is a money saver a lot of times for the employer. Our policies are individually owned. They have multi-life rates. There are discounts available. If the employer is contributing, there's a 5% discount. if that's available with the employee solutions, not with a defined advantage. The defined advantage is our 3 to 9 life employee group for the very small, possibly mom and pop type employer. There's a spousal discount if both spouses apply and both spouses are accepted. There's a 30% discount. So in some cases, you could have for the employee a 35% discount if the employer is very generous and is going to give a contribution towards the spouse. You could have a 35% discount for both the employee and the spouse. They're individual policies, so they're completely portable. If the employee is to leave the employer, the prices do not change. The premiums do not change. The discounts do not go away. They stay with the policy. There is a potential tax deduction for the employer if they're paying for or contributing towards the premium. And if the group is of a certain size, we can also open up a family portal for family members where they can get the multi-life rate. They would go through full underwriting and they would be direct billed to their home. So sometimes this is an advantage where anyone that's related to the employee, aunts, uncles, parents, parents-in-laws, children that are over the age of 18, anyone related to the employee could apply through a family portal that we will set up for the group. Simplified issue. For qualified multi-life cases only, they could get simplified issue. This allows for the employees to apply for coverage with fewer health questions. There's 6 knockout questions. At the end of the presentation, I am going to open up our multi-life handbook and show you what those questions are. They're only available during the one-time initial enrollment period, which is anywhere from 30 to 90 days. That is a decision that the employer and the agent can make. If you want to make it a 45-day enrollment, you've got a group of executives that you're going to do a carve-out for, and they only want to do it for just those 10 or 15 executives and their spouses. You can do a short enrollment period of 30 days, or if you're going to do it for a much larger group, you can run it for the full 90 days. It's totally up to you. And if you meet your minimum submission, we'll get into that in a few minutes here, it can be extended to new hires when they come on board at the employer's facility. So it's simplified issue is just 6 questions, and once they, if they can answer no to those 6 questions, they're almost guaranteed that they can go through the simplified issue. Ways to participate. You can do a carve-out for executives and key employees and just do a small defined advantage plan, or you can do it for all the employees. You can offer a carve-out for the executives depending on the size of the group, and then offer an all-voluntary for the rest of the group. We can do it in tiers. We can, depending on the size of the group, we can break up several tiers where you're offering a certain benefit to one set of the executives. For instance, if you have a law firm and you want to offer the partners a certain benefit, and you want to offer the junior partners a certain benefit, and then you want to offer something else to the rest of the employees, you can do that, and we can break it up any way that the employer would like to do that. So there's several ways to participate. We can offer an all-voluntary. If you have 75 employees or more, you can do an all-voluntary plan with simplified issue. Groups of 10 to 74, you must have an employer contribution of either $25, 25% of the premium, or to find plan design in order to get simplified issue, and I'll get into that in just a moment here. This is going to be talking about our defined advantage plan. This is for small groups of 3 to 9 employees. The minimum participation is that they must have 3 eligible W-2 K-1 business owners or board members meeting the employer contribution requirements, and a minimum of 5 approved applications, and that can be inclusive of spouses. So what we need here is 5 approved applications. 3 of them must be at least 3 employees or 3 K-1 business owners or 3 board members, and the board members must be also working someplace a minimum of 20 hours a week or more. The plan design must be 100% paid by the employer for the employees. They don't have to pay for the spouses. This is a plan that we don't sell very much. We don't have a demand for this. It's a little more restricted than the other plans are because of the needing of 5 approved applications. So the ages are 18 to 65 for simplified issue. The benefit bank that for this size group is anywhere from 100 to 300,000. If they're going to offer shared care to those that are going to have spouses that apply, the maximum will be 200,000. So in this case, the employer could only offer 200,000 to the group at either 1%, 2%, or 3% as their monthly benefit if shared care was going to be offered. They would have to have the three things that would have to match would be the benefit bank, the monthly percentage, and how they're going to pay it, lifetime or 10 pay. Those 3 things would have to match. The employees could then choose if they want inflation or not. They could choose if they want the money back promise, and that would not be considered a buy-up and cause them to go into full underwriting. So those 3 things would have to be the same, and they would have to be paid 100% by the employer for the 3 employees. Dave, do we have any questions about this part? This defined advantage is a little more difficult to understand than the employee solution.
No questions yet, but there might be some toward the end. But I just would remind everybody, too, that the rules are covered pretty well also in their agent guide for their multi-life program. So it's out there in black and white. We can get you a copy of that agent guide.
I will send it. I will send it at the end of the presentation.
Great. And then if anybody out there wants a copy of that agent guide, you can either reach out and call me or send me an email, and I'd be happy to email that back to you as well. But I think we're going okay right now. So it might help a little bit just to, some people aren't quite sure how you build a policy with LifeSecure, so you might just take a minute and step back and kind of walk through the decision points you make when you're actually building a policy with LifeSecure.
I'm going to get to that in just a second. When I get to, there's a chart in here that might make it a little clearer once I get through the employee solution.
Okay,
and I'll
great.
show them how to build it there.
All right, great. Thank you, Sue.
So the next plan we have is called Employee Solutions, and that is for your larger groups, and that is, we have a group of 10 to 499, that's broken up into 2 sections, the 10 to 74, and that needs 10 submitted 10 submitted at this point, not approved, 10 submitted applications, inclusive of spouses. If a spouse works 20 hours a week or more someplace and submits a pay stub showing the hours they work, their name, the company name, and a current date, they can black out all of the money portion on their pay stub. They could go simplified issue if they can mark no to all the knockout questions on the application. So if you had 5 executives and then 5 spouses, that would make 10. They could all go simplified issue, and you would have met your minimum requirement for a group of 10 to 74. And again, when I get to the chart, it may make a whole lot more sense when we get there. On groups of 500 or plus more, we need 25 submitted applications. And again, spouses are included. So you could have, 15 employees and 10 spouses that work outside the home, and they have to go through full underwriting. They would still count towards that 25. So working spouses or non-working spouses still count towards the 25, but if the spouses work and can prove they work and they're a W-2 employee someplace and they work 20 hours a week or more, they can go simplified and count towards your number of 25. So on the 10 to 74 size group, we need either a $25 contribution towards the premium from the employer, 25% towards the monthly premium, or 100% of a defined plan design. And that plan design could be as low as a $100,000 bucket at 1%, which would give them $1,000 as their monthly benefit, with FPO, which is what comes with our policy. And our FPO is 5% offered every 3 years, so it's 15% every 3 years. You can take it or leave it. It will be continued to offer to you every 3rd anniversary until you turn 80 or you go on claim. So you can turn it down every anniversary, every 3rd anniversary until your 27th anniversary, let's say. You can take it one time. It will be continued to be offered to you. With the 10 to 74, it is required for simplified issue to have an employer contribution. 75 employees or more, you can go completely voluntary and get simplified issue. With the 10 to 74, we require that there is a list bill. And 75 or more, you can have a list bill, or you can have the employees get their bills direct billed at home, depending on what the employer wants to do. When the employer contributes, they get a 5% additional discount. If there's no employer contribution towards the premium, there is no 5% discount. So on the voluntary plan, not receiving any employer contribution, there's no discount, no 5% discount. Eligible employees are W-2 employees working 20 hours a week or more, K-1 business owners, and or board members. Board members have to have a letter of certification from the employer, and they must be working someplace 20 hours a week or more. With this size group, your age limit is the same, 18 to 65, but your benefit bank now goes up to $400,000 maximum, and if you're using shared care, it's $300,000. The 10 to 74 life is the eligible employees are, actively at work on a full-time basis, and the spouses are the same. If they're working someplace 20 hours a week, they would get simplified issue. They have to provide us with a pay stub showing that they were working 20 hours a week. Now, we've run into situations where someone's work is on salary and they don't show their hours. So just submit their pay stub and we'll be able to figure that information out from their pay stub. When you have a group of 75 or more that are working full-time, or the spouses that are working, full-time, we have to where we can offer that family portal. That's where the family portal comes in, where we can open up a family, what we call a family/retiree portal, where retirees of that company or family members of that company can apply for multi-life rates. They will go through full underwriting, and they will get their bills sent directly to their home. The employer will have nothing to do with the billing portion of those family members or the retirees. Here's the chart that I was speaking about. In the blue column here is the 3 to 9 employees. As you can see by this, it's a little bit small, but as you can see by the top line there, that talks about eligible employees. How many employees are at the company? A lot of times I'll have someone say, I have a small group, I have 3 employees, when the company actually has more than that, and it allows them to be have more flexibility. They may have 15 to 20 employees, which would bump them over into the green area. And if they want to contribute versus paying the whole amount of the premium, they might want to think about seeing if they can get 10 submitted applications versus just 5 approved applications. So this is where, if you look in the blue area, they have to pay 100% of the premium for all of the eligible employees of the defined plan design. So a plan design that they might create is, if they knew that there were if the employer and his spouse were going to buy, and they wanted to buy shared care, they wouldn't buy more than a benefit bank of $200,000. They might want to buy a 2% monthly benefit. That would give them $4,000 a month as their monthly pool of money, their monthly benefit. And they could then just leave it at FPO, and they could choose to buy inflation, and that would not cause them to go into full underwriting. What that would mean is they would have to pay for the 2 other employees, $200,000 at 2%, lifetime payment option. If the spouses for the other those 2 employees, the employer is going to buy for his spouse, there's the 4th application. And if one of the other employees bought for their spouse, there's the 5th application. If they bought the same benefit, $200,000 at 2%, they would have the 5 applications in. If they are all approved, they would then all get simplified issue. The employer does not have to pay for the spouses. If the spouses work 20 hours a week or more someplace, they would all go simplified issue. If anyone on the phone is from California, if you read down below, California is still in the 1.0 product. If only one of the employees applies and doesn't buy for their spouse, they would receive a 10% discount for just having a spouse. and in California, this defined plan design, defined advantage would get a 5% discount. In all of the other states with our 2.0 product, that 5% discount has been taken away. Dave, do I have any questions on this plan design?
No, we're doing well here, Sue. Just keep her going. Looks good.
Okay. We're now on the employee solutions. On the 10 to 74, you need 10 submitted applications, and you need an employer contribution, $25, 25%, or a defined plan design. The defined plan design could be a $100,000 benefit bank at 1% with FPO. When I've run proposals, many times you can get almost up to the age of 50 and be under $25 for that plan design. It could be $23. It could be, and especially if you are adding a spouse, it could be as low as $22 if both spouses apply and they're under the age of 50. So a lot of times I will run a sample age-banded policy to see what is best for the employer, if they're going to offer a benefit to the employees. Because if the employer offers, if instead of offering $25, they could offer a plan design of $100,000 at 1%, the employee can buy up from that, and that buy-up portion could then be payroll deducted. I tend to stay away from the 25% just because 25% would allow the employee to go in, if they did this completely electronically, and buy whatever they want, and the employer would have to pay 25% of whatever that employee put in on their application, unless the agent is sitting right next to them and says, the employer is only going to pay for 25% of $100,000. Currently, we don't have the ability to plug in both 25% of a defined plan design of $100,000. We are working on, our IT department is working on making that an option on our applications and our group submission form, to where you can mark both of those, that you're going to pay 25% of a certain plan design, but at this current time we don't have that available. So I usually will tell my agents to stay away from the percentage unless they're going to pay 100%, say for a set of executives, where the executives are going to pay, they know what they're buying, and the employer's paying 100% of that. So they have to be, as you can see here, it talks about spouses need to be actively at work in order to get simplified issue, and if they are, if the employer is contributing, they will get a 5% discount. Now, if you get into the group of 75 to 499, you will be able to go completely voluntary. You can also go direct bill or list bill, and you still only need 10 submitted applications. Ages are the same, the maximum benefit banks are the same, and now you don't need any contribution from the employer. You can mix and match if you want to, where you can have some where you pay for the executives and the rest of the benefit you can have for the other rest of the employees, you can have voluntary. So we can do tiers in that area once you get up to the 75 to 499, and you can also have a family portal opened at that point. What I want to say here for the people that are listening, think about your group. If you are close to 500 or over the 499, think of your group, look at your numbers, look at your demographics, and look at the people who are 40 making over $40,000 and see if you're closer to the 499. And when you're doing your group submission form, which has to be done online, and you have questions about it, please call me and let us talk about it and see if we can get you down to where you have 10 submitted applications versus needing 25 submitted applications. Sometimes you can have a group that you have 700 employees, but half of those are people that are in their 20s that if you ask them if they wanted to buy long-term care, would think you had 3 heads. They're never going to use it. They don't want it. They don't know what it is. They aren't interested, and they wouldn't be something you would want to put into your demographics. And so you would put on your group submission form that you have 700 employees, but your eligible employees would be around 350. That would bring you down to only needing 10 submitted applications. So that would be something that we could talk about when you submit your form. So actively at work documentation and what that means. That means that they're a W-2 employee, they're not a 1099 contractor, that they're receiving a regular wage or salary, they're a K-1 business owner with at least 20% ownership, that they're working 20 hours a week, and that they are been at their workplace, their usual workplace of employment on their last regularly scheduled workday before signing their application. Now that means they could have been on vacation. They've not been absent due to work or illness in 5 days during the last 30 days prior to signing their application. And they've been employed at least with their employment for at least 30 days. So here's what we require for actively at work documentation. And all of this is going to be in the Multi-Life Handbook that I'm going to send to Dave at the end of this, along with a copy of this presentation, so that you will have this information. For the defined advantage group, that small 3 to 9 life group, we need a pay stub from everybody, even the employees from that 3 to 9 life group. We need it from the spouse, and if they are a K-1 business owner, I need a Form 1065 or an 1120S. If they're a board member, I need a check stub proving they've worked someplace 20 hours a week or more. If they're a K-1 business owner, I need that Form 1065 or 1120S. And then I also need a board member confirmation letter from the employer. In the employee solution, I either need a check stub from the employee or a census if they're going direct bill. If they're going to be on a list bill, I don't need anything because we know we're sending a bill to the employer and they work for that employer. And so for those groups that are 75 or more, though they're going direct bill, that's when I need a census or a check stub. And a census is so much easier because what we do is when we're doing a direct bill, applications come in, underwriting bumps that application up against that census for the name, sees the name on there, the application goes right on through. We see that they're on the census for that employer, and we don't have to worry about getting a check stub, or actually, you don't have to worry about getting a check stub and sending it in. Here are the California differences if I have anybody on the phone for California. Actively at work, we still need a W-2. They're not a contractor. They're not a 1099. We won't accept a 1099. We don't take anybody that's self-employed. So we won't take a Schedule C. That they're actively at work. Same sort of things there. Actively at work in California, requirement applies only to the spouse from the registered domestic partner. We've taken, for those of you that see that on the application, we are taking the registered part off and just using domestic partner. No, it doesn't apply to the employees that they've not been absent from work for no more than 5 days in the last 30. They still get the 5% discount for the defined advantage plan, and in the employee solutions plan, they still get the 5% discount. They get the single spouse discount in California. So if the spouse does not apply, only the employee, they will still get in California that 10% discount that we have done away with in the other states. Both spouses apply, they get a 30% discount that applies in all the states. If one spouse is declined, they're going to lose that 30% discount in all the other states. The marital discount, as you can see, if one applies, they get a 10% discount in California. In the other states, they don't. Any questions? I'm done with my presentation.
Bear with me a second here. So I'm going to go through and start unmuting people. Dave, Amara, you just had a question. Premiums, yes, are levelized for the life of the policy based upon the age at application. However, the company does reserve the right to file a rate increase on everybody who buys that particular policy series. So,
correct.
And as I do unmute everybody, which I'm doing right now, if you've got me on a speakerphone, if you can please deactivate that speakerphone so we don't have any background noise. And if you don't have a question, go ahead and mute your microphone yourself. Everybody is unmuted, so it's our Tony, I know you had a question. I asked you to pose it during the Q&A section here. You still with me, Tony? Okay. Tell you what, Tony, I'm going to read your question that you posed to me for Sue. Okay. One of the guys, Tony, on the call raised a question. Do you have any samples of the different types of enrollments you've done? And examples would be great. I know I can tell you, Tony, that they have experience with very large groups. They enrolled the University of Minnesota, is that right, Sue, here a couple of years ago, which was well over, what, 5,000 or 6,000 employees?
Yes.
So you do have experience with very large groups.
We did Southwest Energy, which I think is up in your neck of the woods.
Okay. But then you are also you do a very good job on the smaller group market as well, because most of our people that we work with out there are independent agents, and they may just stumble across. They may have a PNC client that has a small business, maybe 15 or fewer employees, and this program works well. And one of the reasons why we like the LifeSecure platform itself, beyond the multi-life offering, which is key, is that the policy is set up really well for worksite. There are very few decision points that an applicant or an employee has to make along the way. They basically select a benefit pool, a monthly access to that at 1%, 2%, or 3%, 3 or 5% compound inflation, and if they're in California, or actually, if they're married and their spouse is applying, do they want share care or not? And that's it. So it kind of removes a lot of the fluff around having to walk through, say, 10 or 12 different riders that might be available to enhance a policy. So that's another reason why we think the Life Secure program fits the marketplace quite well.
The other thing that's really nice is that we have electronic application, so that the client, you have several choices. The client can go online and do it themselves. The agent can share the screen and do it with them, or you can do a paper application.
The online enrollment capability is the feedback I'm hearing from the field is excellent. And Sue, how often do you get a combination of things happening within one group? You have the employer doing executive carve-out and paying for a certain benefit level for some key people, and then having the rest of the employees be the rank and file, per se, being voluntary. Are they actually set up as two separate groups based upon the size of the carve-out versus the size of the voluntary side, or is it all considered one employer group?
It's considered one employer group. So, for instance, you have a group that's 175 people. It's one group number. So when you hit your minimum of 10 submitted applications, you've met your minimum. Anything after that goes simplified. You could have 10 executives, the first tier, and the rest could be voluntary. It's the same group number. It just has a -1 behind it, or an E for employer paid, and the same group number with a V behind it for voluntary.
Okay, that's nice to know. Tony, did that do a better job as far as answering your question? Okay, great. Like I said, we are recording the session. It will be up on our website, available for viewing. I will be sending everybody a copy of the agent guide that Sue's going to pop up to me right away to make sure we have the most current version up here in-house. If you have any additional questions, feel free to either give me a call or give Sue a call, or pop me an email, and I'd be happy to do our best to answer any additional questions you may have. Yeah, so you want to go back up into your PowerPoint and go back to the slide with your contact info, that would be great.
Okay. What I was just showing you here is a copy of what the knockout questions are. These are the questions that you have to say no to. And once you say no to these, we bump your application up against the RX report just to make sure that what you said no to here, you're not taking a medication for.
Okay.
Once that's done, usually your application will be, once we have, for instance, once we have 10 applications in-house, we hold it for the submitted number. So if we hold it, we get 10 submitted applications, we get those in-house, we bump them up against the RX report, and it takes about 24 to 48 hours. Those applications go through processing, they become policies, they're out the door. It's that quick.
Okay, cool. And Sue, also when you send me the agent guide, the most current agent guide, if you could also include a copy of the PowerPoint, and that
I'm going to do that for you. Mm-hmm.
That'd be great, because that way people might want to have a copy of this for reference in their library, so we can fulfill any requests for those as they come in. Sue, that was a great job. I think we have a better feel for how hopefully you can potentially leverage relationships you already know that you don't know, like your dentist's office, your doctor's office, people you know through professional organizations. Basically right now you don't know who you know who are potential group employer opportunities to offer this type of benefit into to their employees on a voluntary basis, or employer paid if they're that important to them. So just keep this in mind. The one for many program is exactly what it is. It's at face value. You make one sale, which is the employer, and you can net multiple applications, signing up multiple employees. So we're excited. We hope you guys out there in the field get jacked up about this as well. LifeSecure's got a great program. They've been out there long enough now, where they're a recognized player in the marketplace. They're it's a lot easier to sell the company name than it was a few years ago when they were brand new. But they do have a heck of a track record in the multi-life arena. They do an excellent job. They have really good people in the background and behind the scenes that really help out quite a bit. So, Sue, with that, I do appreciate you taking the time to join us today and parlay some of your knowledge about the worksite program out into people in the field. We do appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Inside the presentation, you'll also find all of the listing of our regional sales consultants. So if you're working in another state that is not over here on the West Coast, their phone number and contact information is there. My counterpart, Corey Newberry, who handles the East Coast for Multi-Life, her information is there. All the information for the office is there as far as licensing and agent support is listed on this document. So any information that you should possibly need is listed inside the PowerPoint here. And I'll be glad to take any phone calls or emails that should come my way. And please don't hesitate to call. We're here to help. And it really is an easy product to understand, with a very few touch points that your client would have to understand.
Great information, Sue. Again, thank you for sharing all your knowledge on this topic with our crew out here. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and good day.
All right. Bye-bye.